So our next presentation is Tami Codianne-Miller speaking on reimagining the world one home at a time.
Our home is our second skin. It nourishes us, protects us, and affects virtually every aspect of our lives. Since I was 17, creating home environments has been a passion of mine. And for nearly 20 years, I designed homes and commercial spaces throughout the United States and Mexico. But I felt as if something was missing from my process. After I closed and walked away from my firm, I began slowing down and connecting more with nature and the land. My family and I even moved to the jungles of Costa Rica for 18 months. There we built an organic farm that helped feed the community. And it was there that I developed a relationship and spiritual practice with nature herself. While spending quiet time walking through the jungle, noticing each community of leafcutter ants, the resiliency of the howler monkeys, or the nearly imperceivably slow pace of a sloth, something shifted. I saw that all of nature was filled with aliveness and has so much to teach us. Throughout the courses at California Institute of Integral Studies, I learned more about the current state of the planet and that there's a growing need to cultivate a more holistic and regenerative approach to the built environment in order to address the environmental and the existential challenges of our time. In one of my first courses, the teacher's assistant suggested combining my passion for interior design with what I'm learning of ecology and consciousness. I pondered what that might look like and researched how that could happen. And I found energetic geometry, which I've studied concurrently with my master's for 2.5 years. Energetic geometry is at the intersection of building in alignment with the geometry of the sun, while honoring and harmonizing with the energies of the earth. And I learned that it's possible to combine indigenous nature wisdom with modern building technology to create harmonious living conditions for our home within, our dwellings, as well as for our home earth. As one of the top 5 contributors to carbon emissions, the built environment of our homes is where I can make a contribution. From the first time humans arrived on Earth, we've been searching for an understanding of our connections with the visible universe that we inhabit and our function within it. Ancient humans looked to the skies to find answers. They navigated the seas by tracking the stars and planets, and they followed the patterns and rhythms of the cosmos when building structures. The sun and the moon have been cycling the earth. Nope, they haven't been cycling the earth, have been imprinting cycles, repetitive patterns for millions of years. And these patterns have created imprints or rhythms upon the earth. In ancient indigenous cultures, the architects worked alongside the shaman of the community, and the shaman were able to see and feel and sense the energies of the earth and skies. The master builders were then able to reinforce those patterns by installing giant stones and columns when building their stone structures, temples, and later cathedrals and churches. These patterns and rhythmic cycles, alongside the felt sense of the energies, is the basis of energetic geometry. So the rhythmic patterns in turn create frequencies on planet Earth. And I believe that it's these frequencies, these invisible frequencies, that carry the qualities of life that we experience in the spaces in which we live. So frequency refers to the rate at which something repeats. For example, in music, a rhythm of 120 beats per minute would have a frequency of 2 beats per second, or 2 hertz. So you can sense a rhythm in music, and you can harmonize with its frequency. That same thing is possible with the rhythms of solar energetic geometry. So we can harmonize structures with frequencies by installing the natural rhythm of the place through a sequential placement of objects at a specific measurement apart. And that's determined by the latitude of the specific location. So each one is a little different. So once you install a rhythm, this creates a resonance within a home. And a resonance simply means that energy is amplified when its frequency is matched. It's like pushing a swing at just the right time to make it swing higher, or tuning a guitar string to a specific note. And this same principle was implemented in sacred architecture. For example, the columns that surround the exterior of many temples were placed at specific measurements to create a rhythm of a certain frequency in order to amplify a specific energy quality within a structure. So bringing nature's frequencies into the physical homes in which we live can create balanced and harmonious spaces. It can also transform undesirable energies as well. We talk about fostering innovation to address today's environmental challenges. In design, the focus is often on new materials, technology, or sustainability. And while those are important, one of the most powerful discoveries in design is something less visible, but far more personal. The natural world is a tapestry of unseen forces that shape the landscape as well as the ways in which we relate to place, space, and the spirit within it. In order to make changes on the scale of planetary evolution, there needs to be a paradigm shift of many of our current systems. So long ago, people lived in communities with the land. They shared resources. And then landowners came in and they began enclosing lands, fencing them in. In the housing boom of the 1920s, homes were built more for speed and profit, which led to tract homes and prefab homes. And since the 1920s, the safety and efficiency of buildings has increased. However, little has evolved in terms of building efficacy. Through the art and science of holistic home design, we can uncage the human mind. Our bodies sense and know information before our minds can even process and make sense of it. It's kinesthetics intelligence. And for the most part, it's been left out of the conversation of the modern built environment. Through advancements in science and technology, we're even more aware of the effects of our home environment and what they have, effects that they have on living beings. And now there are research findings to back these theories. So sciences such as neuroaesthetics, which actually measures the mental and physical changes of a person depending upon the aesthetics of a space, aesthetics such as color, light, and sound, the arrangement and scale of furniture, and texture on walls and on fabric. However, a lot more research is needed into how the energetics of a space affect living beings. A paradigm shift has begun. It's begun in the way in which we think about our homes, but it has far to go to make home environments that harmonize with nature and provide benefits for its inhabitants a standard policy. So it's possible to organize the frequencies that surround us and in turn our environment by harmonizing with the specific energy desired in our homes and in our offices. For example, when building homes, the dimensions of a home or even the dimensions of a room can be selected to reverberate different qualities. You could choose tender, soft, and agreeable in a living room or a bedroom. You could choose active, strong, and playful, and even grounded and sensible. Within an existing home, these qualities and frequencies can be installed, for example, outdoors by planting plants, placing planters, rocks, or trees at specific distances from each other, like the columns around the temples. Indoors, the distance between pictures in an arrangement on a wall, objects on a mantle, or candles on a dining table. They can be placed at specific distances to cause a repeating rhythm to install a frequency of a quality. So spaces affect people. So the aesthetics of design matter, both the objective experience, which is how one is affected from what they see and hear and feel in a space with the exterior of their bodies, and also the subjective experience, which is how one is uniquely affected emotionally, mentally, or spiritually because of a person's background and circumstances. So how do we create a world of thriving that builds our capacity to be more sustainable and more connected? I think it comes from community. Community can generate compassion of the mind, and community can also generate a mindset of resiliency, which is a capacity to withstand or recover quickly from difficulties. How well people adapt to adversities determines the ways in which individuals view and engage with the world. One of my main goals coming into the graduate school was to appreciate how science and spirituality need each other to make sense of the world. It was a call to restore a sense of the sacred into our everyday lives. And the key thing that I am leaving with as a graduate of ecology, spirituality, and religion is the commitment to reintegrate the spiritual into the human experience of the physical. So my hope is to expand the field of interior design with ancient building techniques that can align our human spaces with the unseen forces of nature. And at the same time, I hope to contribute to the field of ecology, spirituality, and religion with verifiable data from the emerging field of neuroaesthetics that shows how the qualities of frequencies can have a profound effect on the wellness of all beings. Excuse me. And just as paradigm shifting as global government policy is the power of many movements, many as in small. American anthropologist Margaret Mead reminds us, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed individuals can change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has. Each of us has the agency to make change, and choices are available today to ensure a healthy planet and a healthy future for all beings. Realizing how one can shift the energetic qualities of the atmospheres in which they lived helped me understand that true design extends beyond physical spaces and into the relational and energetic realms of our surroundings. By aligning them with the sacred rhythms of the earth and the sky, we can reimagine the world, one home at a time. Thank you.
You can see all the appreciation for you there in the
Thank you.
Zoom window. Thanks, Tammy. And I see Sean has a question for you. Let's go straight to Sean.
Yeah, thank you, Tammy. That was fascinating. First of all, can you say once again the kind of geometry? What kind of geometry was it?
Energetic.
Energetic, right. Okay, got it.
Yes.
Thank you. And just on that note, are you aware of the work of Marco Pakachnik at all?
I am not.
Okay. He is an anthroposophical earth acupuncturist.
Mhm.
And so he works with he and his students work with various installations that attempt to heal areas based upon. Anyway, you might want to look him up, Marco Pokatnik. But the question is, along with wondering, I really want to look into to neuroaesthetics now and wonder what I can do to our home. But I'm also aware that, like we rent, we can only afford to rent, and thankfully we can afford to rent. And I'm aware that so many people, perhaps a majority, don't own their own homes and may not have that luxury. So, and you did mention what people can do regardless, even within a small space. But do you have any thoughts about urban planning and particularly geared towards the masses of people who will be living in tenement housing of some kind or another, and shared public spaces that, yeah, apart from the private home?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So actually, earth acupuncture is a big part of energetic geometry too. Um, the megaliths that were built, around the world, that's kind of what they were doing. They were installing weight, which is one of the forces of nature, at specific points. Those sunrises and sunsets at the sun's maximums north and maximums south, and that's what creates the solstitial quadrilateral, and that can be installed. It can be installed in rooms. It can be installed with weight outside of homes. And there's also ways to, like you're talking in, multi-family units and urban settings, that you can go into homes and put in rhythms, even permanently. So for example, you could create a bookcase that had specific dimensions within the bookcase. You can put the rhythms in a space can be harmonized by very small measurements of rhythms. So that's my hope, is creating a course that is very low cost and accessible, that can step by step through simple things that people can do in their current homes. And I would love, for everybody to be able to regulate what kind of energies they have. So yeah, thank you for that question.
Thank you.
Elizabeth, please.
Thanks. Thanks, Tami. It's so great to hear how your work has developed over the past couple of years. This is such an amazing synthesis of so many threads. And I have a whole bunch of questions. I'm going to throw them at you, pick and choose, whatever. So one question I have is just to clarify, when you were talking about the installation of pillars, for example, in front of a building, are you arguing that the architects or the builders were aware of the rhythmic requirements for their installation, or that it's something that people might feel more intuitively and just tend to design in that way? So that's one question. Another question is, I'm sensing parallels with feng shui, and I wonder if that comes in at all, and if you could speak to that. And then my third question, and again, pick any, or, my third question is, are you seeing some of what you discussed come into fruition? Are you presently practicing this, or are you seeing colleagues practice this? Thanks so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll try to answer them all quickly. The temple builders and the stone builders, they worked with the shaman. So the shaman were really the initiators of the practice, because it was all done by feel. You can feel today different energy spots also that you're working with, and the change in how it feels in your body when those different measurements are in place. The second question, feng shui, Feng Shui is actually, it originated as Chinese geomancy, which also geomancy is part of water and detecting water. And that's also a big part of energetic geometry. It's really the foundation. If you go into, for example, any of the temples in Bhutan, you can sense the water, and they built over these power spots, intersections of water that created very powerful vortexes of energy within those temples and cathedrals and churches. So yes, and there are people out there doing it, a handful, and another person was mentioned that they were doing energetic geometry, but there's been research into it for at least since the 50s. And so there are people that are actively doing that right now. I'd love to make a collective of people so that they're easier to find. So yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.